Why more often than not does the appraised value on a home being purchased come in exactly at the number that the buyer is paying for the home? Welcome back to another episode of Fridays with the Fiddle Fig. I'm Selby with the Selby team, and so frequently when I'm representing a buyer on a purchase, the buyer gets the appraisal back from the lender and they see that the value is $500,000, which is exactly what they're buying the house for. And I get the question, John, why is this the case? Why isn't it $505 or why isn't it $495? And so today I'm going to answer this question for you. When an appraiser comes out to the house to get the appraised value of the house, they get a range of comparable properties that are similar to the property in size, condition, location, and they look at those and evaluate that house that you're buying against those comps. And so it's going to create a range. Let's say you have comps at $495. We're using the 500 example. You have comps at $495, $500, $505, another comp at $500 or something along those lines. The property that's being purchased falls within that range, and so then the appraiser is able to say, okay, well, a buyer's willing to pay for this house $500,000. It falls within the range of comps that we see out there in the market that are being sold, and so thus they assess the value of the home at that $500,000, which is what that buyer is willing to pay for that home. In the few instances where we maybe see an appraisal come in low or an appraisal come in higher than what the buyer is actually paying for it is when we see these, gross evidence in one direction or the other. So, prime example, that same $500,000 house is in a neighborhood where all the houses are selling for $450,000. Well, the chances that appraisal is going to be able to come in at $500 is a lot lower than if everything was selling closer to $5. So in that situation, you may find out that an appraisal comes in at $475 or $460, something like that. And of course, on the flip side, if that same $500,000 house is in a neighborhood where everything's selling at $525, there's a good chance that appraisal will potentially come in higher. Maybe it comes in $5,000 or $10,000 over that $500,000 purchase number. Thus, you've got a happy buyer in that situation. So the main reason that an appraisal more often than not comes in right at what a buyer is paying for the house is because the appraiser can go out there and they can justify that number using comparable properties, and they can say, yes, this property is worth $500,000 because the comps support it, so thus we're going to say that the value of the house is $500,000 because that's what a buyer is willing to pay for it right now. So hopefully that's a little bit of insight into why that number is always pretty much exactly what the buyer is paying for it. And hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of Fridays with the Fiddle Fig. And as always, if you do have any questions, misconceptions, or myths that you want covered, drop it in a comment or send us a private message and we'll have you cover it on another episode.